Hi, this is Ed Amoroso, and welcome back to Tag Talk. I want to talk today about a company that a lot of people have been tracking the last few years called Wiz. Hard to believe that we're here in 2025 and Wiz has really only been around for 5 years. They've had so much impact on cloud security and on the cybersecurity industry in general. So I want to spend some time taking you through my view of Wiz and certainly my comments on this pending acquisition that we've heard with Google. Now, first off, let me say that this is an amazing company. Their product is fine. It's a capable means for doing cloud security posture management. I'll tell you here at Tag, we are Wiz customers. We use it to protect our workloads. I probably shouldn't say that from a security perspective, but there I've said it. But it's a really good product, an amazing user interface, good engine, good visibility. So from that perspective, there's very little to complain about. They've done a wonderful job building out a capability that I think is arguably unequaled, at least in the last few years. Now, there are some companies that do a nice job. Aqua, Sysdig, Palo. They have amazing platforms and they're improving. But over the last few years, there's no question that Wiz and CSPM has been the leader. Now, there have been a lot of sort of unusual things that have happened with them. You probably remember some of the reporting around CyberStart, some of the sort of weirdness around how their venture capital team had been interacting with CISOs. I'm not going to say much here other than that I think it's reasonable for you to ask Wiz when you're doing a deal to explain the situation. I'm sure they will, but it's around enough and it's whispered enough that I think it's very reasonable for you to ask them about that. I'm not saying it's true or not true. I'm just saying go ahead and ask. That seems reasonable. Second thing is that there's this big acquisition and there's all these discussions around sort of pending approvals and so on. I have nothing to say about that. I'm not a lawyer. I don't really have much to say in terms of whether the approval should go through or not. That's something they'll work out. We'll let the government and Wiz and Google figure that out. But one thing I will say, and this might come out a little rough, but I'm going to say it anyway. This acquisition makes zero sense. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand it other than that I guess Alphabet just has a lot of money and can go off and they want to buy something, they're going to buy it. Look, let's think about this a minute. It's three major cloud providers. There's Amazon, there's Azure, and there's GCP. Now, let's say in Google's cloud offer, probably 80% of their customers are using Wiz. I'm guessing at this, but I think it's probably right. So they'll keep those customers. I think that's fine. Will they bring the other 20% over? Maybe. So that would be an argument in favor of doing this. For the minority of their customers who are not using Wiz, that's great. They'll get some. But what about the other two services like Amazon and Microsoft, which are much bigger services? Let's say they also have roughly 80% using Wiz. It seems very conceivable that they could lose half that business. Wiz. Like you'll feel like a second class citizen if you're in Amazon and you have Google protecting your cloud. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but it doesn't make any sense to me other than that when you're a large company and you just want to book and show inorganic cloud revenue growth, you buy a big company, you spend a fortune with it. But I guess for some companies, that doesn't matter. Look, I come from that world. I come from large companies making acquisitions and then afterwards explaining that it was great. I have to invent that concept in cybersecurity. I know how that works. And I'm just telling you that I've seen this play before, and this is likely what will happen. Now, does this mean Wiz is a lesser product? Of course not. I'm sure it's going to get nicely and tightly integrated into GCP. If you're a Google customer and you use Wiz, you're going to love this. They're going to build all sorts of nice connections and you'll see synergy and it's going to be a real kumbaya in that kind of configuration. But for everybody else, I just don't see the point. I don't understand it. Now, there's probably a windfall for Sysdig, for Aqua, for Palo, for companies that really are multi-cloud. And I would expect that they're going to pick up a lot of new business moving forward. So look, this has nothing to do with approvals or anything. The DOJ should do what they're going to do. This is not about anything that dominates. In fact, I think it's just the opposite. I think it opens up more competition by doing this, which is why I just didn't understand it. I don't know why when you're a dominant, you'd go line up with one company because I think you lose a lot of that very dominant capability. Just my thought. I hope that that's not too harsh, but it's what I really believe. Now, look, we've written a report on this. You can download the report from our website. You can look and see descriptions of the offering. You can get a sense of what we honestly think about the prospects here and what's likely to happen to the founders, whether they'll stay, whether they'll go, what the other cloud providers are likely to do. Don't think Microsoft and Amazon are just going to sit by doing nothing. That's just not the way business strategy works. You'll see some. So you can read about that in our report. And I hope that you'll go ahead and click that like button and subscribe to our channel. We like to know that you're there. Please really help us by subscribing. I hope you'll do that. And I'll see you on our next discussion.